How's it going, guys? Hopefully the stream's not too laggy. I keep getting these messages saying that there's not a good signal for the stream. But at any rate, I popped on here tonight because, you know, everybody knows about Elon Musk at the Dave Chappelle show. I'm not sure what he was doing up there, like why he possibly would have been brought on stage. It just didn't make any sense. It didn't seem like he was going to tell jokes, and I'm sure they know he's not popular in San Francisco right now. Yeah. So I was a little bit confused, you know, as far as why the booing from the people was so intense, and it seemed to be so, I guess, ubiquitous. There was like a lot of booing. And, you know, I'm no fan of Elon Musk. I'm no fan of billionaires, especially when a billionaire, you know, I really like this meme, I think, or maybe it was a quote. Some guy said, you know, how about if we have no more billionaires? You reach, you know, $999 million and you get a plaque that says you won capitalism, we name a dog park after you. Good to go. I mean, that makes sense to me. The thing is, I also believe in the absolute sovereignty of free will, so I don't think that it's up to the government really to force people to do anything. So, of course, you know, the whole point of my life and my channel is that I think we need to re-engineer society, and that we need to think about how we approach that. You know, we need a completely new approach to social engineering, and it has to be something that happens organically. And so, you know, I think that's why people like myself, that are part of the plant medicine psychedelics movement, we're really hoping that people can have experiences that sort of catalyze the kind of changes that are necessary to have a billionaire free world by choice, and not because of the heavy hand of, you know, the governments. But what has really got me about this is that I did some research. I hunted around to try to figure out, like, why is the left really mad at Elon Musk? Is it the terrible appearance on Saturday Night Live? Is it the fact that he has just egregious wealth that is just absolutely obscene and ridiculous? Is it his awkwardness? Is it, you know, I mean, there's a lot of reasons you could hate Elon Musk. But, you know, before I get into what it actually is, I want to point out that, you know, not many years ago, but 2 or 3 years ago, I mentioned that when we start seeing the narrative get really scrambled, when we see characteristics of the two parties in the United States start to get blended together so that they're all mixed up and scrambled, we know we're really in big trouble, right? This is not a good sign. I predicted this. And Elon Musk, I think, is almost like a concrest symbol of exactly what I was warning about, because he started out as like a poster child for the eco movement, for green energy. You know, he has the Tesla, and is someone that you would think that liberals and the left would really, really like, and I'm pretty sure they did really, really like Elon Musk until COVID and censorship started to actually happen in the United States. And, you know, I'm sure I don't need to remind anyone or tell anyone that United States citizens used to really, really care about their freedoms. Like, it was a really big deal. You know, you got the sense that, you know, right or left, they would fight to the death to preserve their rights. And what we have seen over the last couple of years is that if you walk up behind mostly liberals and just go, boo, they will cuff up, put their hands behind their back, you know, cuff me up, put me in a camp, shoot me full of whatever it is that you think I need, and, you know, arrest my neighbors, and, you know, get rid of free speech if it's going to make me just a little bit safer. And, you know, I have to really be careful what I say, because I've already been demonetized. I have strikes against me right now, so if I have another strike, then I'll be gone for 90 days or something. You know, I'm in danger of actually losing my channel, which is pretty much my lifeblood. but I feel like it's part of consciousness expansion. It's part of spirituality. It's part of the gnosis. It's part of the transformational process to acknowledge and to analyze and to attempt to address the ills of our time period. What's going on, Big C? And I think that this issue with Twitter is pretty much a central sort of. I mean, it's horrifying. And what really, really got me is that I actually went on YouTube, or not YouTube, what's the other one where you scroll real fast all day long? TikTok. And I was looking specifically for stuff about Elon Musk. Like, what are people saying? Like, what are they so pissed off about? And I found a meme of Elon with a tinfoil hat on and like his arm around Donald Trump. And I'm pretty sure that, Elon Musk is not really like an avid Trump supporter. I don't think he liked either of them, because no intelligent person that I'm aware of likes either any politician anywhere. If you're smart, you don't like them, period. That's, you just know better. They're all puppets of the overlords, period, end of story. They're not your friend, and the enemy of your enemy is not your friend either. Like, that logic doesn't work. You know what I mean? None of these guys are on anyone's side but whoever is cutting their checks. This is not that hard to understand. Some people seem to be struggling with it. But, so I went to the comments, and people were just like, oh yeah, Elon is so fucked up because he's brought free speech back to Twitter. Like, what? Really? Are you? I mean, they were just blatantly saying like, oh, it's horrible how he has made Twitter, brought it down to the level of Truth Social. Now, I, don't really like a lot of these right-wing, like Rumble, there's some good content on there, but it is true that misinformation, like genuine, stupid, even harmful, just moronic, lunatic fringe bullshit is fucking flooding these platforms like Truth Social and Rumble, and it is absolutely true. But that's totally irrelevant. And I think what's lost on a lot of people is that, sure, there's harmful rhetoric. There are impressionable people. There is misinformation. There are malicious actors even. I mean, we all know that there are serial killers and, other psychopaths and all sorts of stuff. But there's also, everything in the universe is on a spectrum, right? So there are also people that would love to just create, trouble just by saying shit. I get it. You know what I mean? Oh, what happens when the narrative gets scrambled? We're seeing what happens when the narrative gets scrambled. I'll try to explain that a little bit later. I'm trying to do this sort of with some conceptual continuity, but don't worry. I'll explain what happens. The first thing, okay, actually, let's address that in micro, and then later I'll expand on it a little bit. But in order to truly have a fascist government, you can only have one party. So, if you look at United States politics over the last, since we can remember, but certainly since the 1950s, the 1960s, it became really a lot more obvious. The left was the enemy of the establishment. And so they did everything they can to demonize the establishment. It's come out that it's almost certain that Charles Manson was an MK Ultra operative. It's not even conspiracy theory. It's just a fact. One of the MK Ultra scientists actually visited him when he was in jail before he was let out and the murders all happened. This stuff is not like lunatic fringe conspiracy theory anymore. It's certain. So, the left was the enemy, and it still is the enemy, and that is why they are going through so much trouble to demonize the left, to make them look like totally insane morons. And just as they've always done with the kind of fringe of the right, they're focusing on the most extreme lunatics on the left and making that look like it's the majority in order to incite the right, make them hate the left. The left is out to to sexually molest your children, and they're out to destroy all of your American values, and they're, what I mean? It's the same rhetoric that they've always been using. And the point is that the people that are trying to manage society really are more or less trying to get rid of the left, because they're far more problematic than the right, who tend to be, nationalists and religious, and they're much more inclined to just sort of go along with the government if it doesn't seem left-wingy to them right at the moment. But that's the point, that they're trying to annihilate the left. And so on the right, one of the things you'll notice is they've loosened up a little bit. It's not as overtly racist for the most part. It's not as anti-marijuana and anti-psychedelics, because they realized they've had to adapt. They have to modernize a little bit in order to be viable to attract people. So that's what I'm saying about the scrambling of the narratives, that they're condensing the two parties into one. That is the first step when you're moving towards fascism. So let's go back to this comment section with Elon Musk, because when answering that question, I kind of lost track of my narrative. Speaking of narratives, so people were literally angry and saying so in the comments that free speech is there, that it's happening, so where I'd already said that, and where I was going is that if you believe there are people with dangerous ideologies in your society, does it really make sense to just muzzle them so that they cannot speak, so you don't know who they are, you don't know where they are, you don't know what they're thinking, you don't know when they're thinking it, you don't know what they're planning, and you have no opportunity to confront them and to say, hey, you're a fucking moron, or your thinking is dangerous, or politely, it's just not correct. You know what I mean? If you just stop people from speaking, you have no chance of communicating with them and fixing the problem. So no matter how you slice it, this condemnation of free speech is not only should it be sacrilegious to anyone in the United States or anywhere on earth, but it's counterproductive. It's not helping anything. How does anyone think that that's helping? I mean, the fact that it's even become possible, the fact that people are such cowards that, they're just, okay, and here's maybe the worst part of it. No one is really accusing Elon Musk of fabricating anything. They're not accusing him of misinformation. I was having problems with the mic today. Actually, that's why I jumped on late. They're not accusing him of misinformation. They're just angry because he has exposed things that they don't want to hear. And that is the most mind-blowing part of it to me. I don't care who you are or what your agenda is, what your political beliefs are. I understand religious people don't want to hear the truth, because that will just destroy their entire, epistemology, ontology, whatever, religious nonsense. You know what I mean? I can understand those people not wanting to hear the truth. But for people to be enraged that someone has created a platform that allows free speech, that they have told the truth, that they've uncovered political corruption, the fact that the Twitter files have exposed even very strong indications, at least, that there is something wrong with the narrative, right? That should not make people angry. It's a public service. The guy is putting himself at risk in order to bring valid, important information that it's not conjecture. It's proof. These are communiques between the U.S. government, people like Fauci, and, all sorts of players in that game. There's no conjecture. It's just fucking terrifying that the people on the left are responding to this situation the way that they are. I mean, that's not even like, that doesn't even do it justice. And then in other news, speaking of billionaires, right on, yeah. Speaking of billionaires, what is up with these crypto billionaires and millionaires all dying? Like in the last 3 weeks, there have been like 3 crypto founders that have been found dead under mysterious circumstances. One of them went down in a helicopter. One of them was 30 years old in perfectly good health and died in his sleep of apparently natural causes. Like, what in the hell is that? And I'm really not sure what to think of the cryptocurrency in general anymore. I was a big advocate because I saw it as a potential way for us to divert some of the power out of the channels that it's currently flowing in and bring it somewhere more meaningful, like our pockets. And it turns out that, once again, people are too cowardly to make cryptocurrency meaningful, because every time there is a regulation looming, every time there's any kind of FUD, everyone sells. And so if we can't have solidarity, if we can't have a movement that has some kind of coherence and a sort of unified sense of purpose, nothing meaningful can come from it. And so, aside from the fact that 90% of cryptocurrencies have turned out to be scams, the people do not have the courage to do what needs to be done, and actually, what is the word? Mass adoption. We would have to all collectively choose something and then stick with it. And that just didn't happen, obviously. So, yeah, I mean, I hate to do streams like this for a couple of reasons. For one thing, it is very difficult not to be perceived by people as if you are on one side or another. People need to be able to characterize things, to compartmentalize. And, honestly, that's been a problem my entire life because I don't follow any kind of narrative. And I think it's almost worse than going against people when they can't compartmentalize you. It's so the point is that I feel a lot of times like the only thing any of us can do is preach to the choir, because the people that may need to hear our message, that we need to be receptive to it, are almost definitely going to just navigate away the second I say something that they feel disagrees with their narrative. And yeah, that's pretty rough. One of the things that I'm also suggesting that we have to find a way to contend with, and really the neuroplasticity that we gain from psychedelics is about the only thing that it's the only thing that could do this, really. So, LSD in the drinking water, I mean, I don't know, really what how to go about this exactly. I mean, Timothy Leary unfortunately is dead and is no longer on his campaign. Maybe I can take over, or maybe someone will volunteer. But the point is that it's not just fear and brainwashing. We have neurological and psychological components that are within the psyche of people that are hardwired to their survival instincts that are coming into play here. And this is why the indoctrination is so powerful. This is why it sticks. And I suspect that in the case of this free speech situation where, Elon said, my pronouns are Fauci and prosecuted or something like that. And that comment, by the way, is one of the reasons I suspect that all of this is engineered, that Elon is not even controlled opposition, that he's actually just another player. I mean, I don't think you're allowed to be the richest man in the world unless you're totally under the control of the puppet masters. I don't see, this is one of the reasons that when people were talking about Trump going rogue, I was like, give me a fucking break. You remember when Kennedy did that? What happened? How the back of his head just kind of blew off from 3 different directions? Or the one magic bullet, either way. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. So anyways, the fact that it seemed like a indirect jab at the trans community, and also challenging this narrative that people have really developed a tendency to cling to. And I don't even want to say it out loud. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to get deleted here. But you guys know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? It's just weird that it seems deliberate. It really seems deliberate to me. Perhaps I'm paranoid, but it really does seem deliberate. But anyways, anchoring bias, I think, may be a big part of this. And anchoring bias is just the simple fact that whatever information people get first, they tend to reject new information when it comes along. So whatever everyone was told about the pandemic, if new information comes along that challenges that, their tendency is going to be to believe the original thing no matter what. And when you are in an emotionally charged state and you receive that kind of imprint, it hits harder. It sticks better. It makes a deeper imprint. It fucking burns like fire branding into your neurobiological environment. It's just like a cattle brand. And so, by the way, you guys, do me a favor, hit the like button, share, subscribe. We're demonetized, so I get nothing from YouTube, and we do appreciate your support. You can find ways to support in the description. And this may be the first month that my channel makes it to 20,000 views. So I really appreciate you guys sharing, because the algorithm ignores me completely. And, a lot of you guys tell me that you feel like the work that I do is important, and I really appreciate that. But it's not going to get out there unless we share it, because the algorithm is not going to help. So growing Illumignostic's channel is a grassroots sort of affair. All right, so yeah, anchoring bias. And so, dealing with this kind of stuff and changing it once it's in there is extremely difficult, because all of these sort of biases, cognitive dissonance, selective perception, anchoring bias, they're all hardwired in with our survival instinct. And there are good reasons, right on, La Misha. There are good reasons for that. Anchoring bias is, for example, like when you go to ride a bike and you believe that you are... Actually, this is another one as well. Oh man, it's got a really weird name, and it's one of the most difficult biases. It means I can't remember the name, but it means that even though it's not true, if something happened a certain way in the past, you believe it's going to happen that way in the future still. I don't remember exactly what the name of it is, but that's the underlying, that's the thing. And so it's just a good example of how it's wired into our instinct, because it's why you can get in a car and drive it around without worrying that you're going to die, because, you believe you're not going to, because it hasn't happened all those other times. And so all of these different biases, have some sort of survival mechanism relationship. And, once they have people engineered to believe certain things, it's going to be very, very difficult to deconstruct that. So yeah, and by the way, you guys, if you have any questions or anything that you want to deviate from this topic, I'm happy to talk about whatever. I just honestly, part of the reason I am here is that I am very excited and probably won't be able to sleep easily because tomorrow we are heading off to the deepest. Wait, what is that? That's nothing. We're heading off into the deepest part of the jungle that we've lived in so far. What is this crap here? That's not what I meant to post. What even is that? It's like this weird string of numbers and... What the fuck is that? Yeah, anyways, we're heading off into the deepest part of the jungle that we have visited so far. It's actually an island, and I'm just really stoked. One of the things that I've noticed in the last couple of weeks since we've kind of moved deeper into the jungle is that the further we go into the jungle, the further away from civilization we are, the better the energy is. And it's not just like the energy in a sort of metaphysical or spiritual kind of sense. I mean that people are less drunk. People, even though they don't have any more money, it doesn't look like poverty. You know what I mean? Like, things look healthy and people act healthy, and there's no theft at all. And it's just remarkable that all you have to do is put some distance between yourself and towns and cities, and all of a sudden poverty doesn't even seem to really influence people's conduct anymore. It's a really sort of interesting. Say drop cargo accidentally drop. Yeah. It is like that cargo cult. Except that it's not. You know what? It's irritating me that I can't remember which name of the bias this is. So. What is the word, like cognitive different? Cognitive. Let's see. Anchoring bias. None of these. Okay, 7 types of. Nope, it's not there either. 16 cognitive biases. Alright, well, whatever. I'll have to look it up later. But, yeah, it's a really weird name, and it's a type of bias that you believe that because things happen one way in the past, that they're always going to happen in the future, even though it's... you know what? I guess all, like, weird rituals are probably based on that type of bias. Yep. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I can't just sit here and rant about free speech all night. I mean, it just, you know, it's really scary to watch all of these things that I thought I must be wrong about because it's too paranoid, it's too crazy. And, you know, when you have enough people pointing their finger at you and calling you an idiot and snickering and you know, the whole conspiracy theory narrative, and the fact that there are so many complete morons that believe all kinds of conspiracy theories, you know, I was kind of convinced that I must just be paranoid. And I think also it's kind of a wish demon where something is just too bad and we just don't want to believe that it could actually be happening. like World War III. But I think that this situation with Elon Musk and the comments that I saw on TikTok where people were just overtly talking about how angry they were that someone was allowing free speech, that's when it really hit me that we really are walking around with a bunch of sleepwalking automatons that are barely even aware. I mean, it's really actually literally true. Ayahuasca retreat updates. Well, we're still doing Ngaru, but I may limit the dates to April through May, and we have a couple of other places that we're looking at where it'll allow us to do it at a lower price. And also, it's just interesting to keep moving around to different places because the jungle is just, it's full of all this biodiversity. But there's also like a lot of like features here. There's caverns. I just posted the video about the Gallos de Peña caverns that we went to the other day, where they have ayahuasca ceremonies down in the bottom of the cavern. And the cock of the rock, the Andean cock of the rock, which is this like giant bright red. I mean, it's not like a cardinal. This bird is like unnatural. It's just. It really looks like an evolutionary disadvantage to be like that bright red. And it has this like big floppy like thing on its head. I don't know what it is even. I guess it's like feathers, but it has like a little string and then a big flopper up there. And they fly to this cavern to breed. So I guess certain times a year there's like a bunch of them sitting in these nests. They weren't there when we went, but yeah, so there's that, and then Amiruka is a Quechua community where they're teaching the language, and they're teaching about all the plants of the jungle, and we went there a few days ago, but we basically said, the rooms are a little bit too primitive, or rustic, I guess would be a better word. They didn't have doors and stuff, which was kind of a surprise. But I think the feeling is that, everyone in the community knows everyone, and there's not really, they're all families. So they're, but I was like, yeah, well, if we're going to have like foreign guests here, we need doors and whatnot. So, they said, okay, well, give us a week to renovate the building and then come back and check it out and see if everything's good. So that we're going back there in like 2 or 3 days, and then this place in Oahuano, the island where we're going tomorrow, is only accessible by boat. It's also a Quechua community. It looks amazing. It's deep in the jungle. I don't know what else to say about that. So we're looking at some other alternatives. Something to do between now and when we go to Ngaru. And then Ngaru, if you guys haven't seen the video and you're interested in this kind of thing, it's definitely an amazing place. There are caverns on the property. There's this big flat rock with a spherical rock that, legend has it, I haven't experimented with this yet, but if you place your hands on it when you have drank ayahuasca, you can feel it vibrating. I wouldn't doubt it. If you've seen the thing, I mean, it's crazy. It makes no sense that this would exist even. Crystal clear river in the front yard, parrots in the trees, monkeys, coati that comes down into the dining area that's friendly, and wild macaw that will land in the barn and is also friendly. But they're not like tame animals that are kept. They just wander back out to the jungle when they're done interacting with people. So yeah, we'll definitely get some video of the island. We're super excited to go out there. And so, yeah, I guess you guys, I'm going to wrap it up because I feel like I've made my points. I mean, I don't know what else to say about this. It's difficult to convey the sort of disappointment that I feel because in like 2000, it looked like I could see the psychedelic renaissance coming, and I knew that would be very impactful and that it would wake a lot of people up, and that, ultimately, it could lead to some very meaningful changes and a sort of revolution. And I should have taken note of this old interview I saw with Jerry Garcia where he was talking about how in like 1966, I guess, when Haight-Ashbury, he said it was like there was like a streak of white light in the neighborhood, and it's like God had touched the place, and everyone's third eyes just popped open, and and he said at one point they thought they had already won. They thought once this gets out, people they'll understand that there shouldn't be war, and it's just not that hard to understand that if we act in a unified manner, that the benefit to the individual is much greater than having a society where the individual believes his own well-being is the top of the rock, because it's not how it works. It's and it's funny because people have this fundamental wisdom that, for example, when people act together as a group, their impact and their power and their ability is amplified exponentially. So why there are people that know that but then still think that doesn't apply to an entire planet full of people kind of baffles me. No, I just saw the one about the absent fathers today. It's still there. I have noticed that sometimes I can't see like one of my videos, and then I'll go back and it's there. So I don't know what's going on with YouTube, man. Hopefully we don't wake up one day and find my channel just gone, because that would basically cut my ties to the outside world completely at this point. We are isolated as hell in the Amazon rainforest, and we just keep getting sucked deeper in, and that's fine with me. The way the world's going out there, this place where we've been staying was like $12 a night or something, and it's like there's a kitchen, big kitchen area, dining area, a workspace, and 2-bedroom house, and a river in the backyard, and boba and sauna everywhere, and it's just like there's fruit falling out of the jungle. You don't really need anything. Catch fish if you want to. There's gold in the river. If you need a few bucks, you can just go pan some gold. And there are a lot of places like that here. And it's also been very revelatory for me to see. In the United States, where you have poverty, you generally have shitty people. Black, white, yellow, whatever. If they're broke and poor, they're probably dangerous, or at least ignorant. And in South America, that's not necessarily true. There are places, in near cities, of course, but the basic decency of people that have nothing down here has really been a huge lesson for me. And also, actually, people in our YouTube community have downloaded my all 400 and 600 videos, whatever it is. So there are backups of everything out there. But it's definitely a possibility that they would do this. And it's funny, we had a good number of people in here, but I see 5 likes. It's weird. I don't know if they were like Elon supporters, or I would think that this kind of content would like be really important to people right now. I don't. Maybe I'm not conveying it like clearly enough or something, but it's just strange that I appreciate whoever just hit the like button. But what the hell, man? This matters. I know this matters. It does. Censorship would not have even been tolerated in the United States 20 years ago by anyone. Left, right, whatever. So the fact that people are actually enraged that someone is allowing it and creating a space for it, it's pretty horrifying. It's pretty surreal. So we have to keep our chins up. I'm not trying to be negative here, but I am just trying to encourage people to take a stand, do what you can to fight back, and we have to maintain a positive outlook. But, you know, this is another thing about all of this that really bothers me. In order to have any kind of real impact, any kind of positive impact, you have to be willing to objectively analyze your problems. You know what I mean? If you treat cancer as if it were a cold because you can't handle the reality that you have cancer, you're going to die. And so people that are unwilling to stare these things in the face and would support censorship rather than deal with uncomfortable realities, you know, these people are part of our organism, and they unfortunately could, you know, their cowardliness could result in our demise. And it's really ironic that they think that it's us, that we are the threat. Those of us that are free thinking and free speaking and, you know, pursuing truth, whether it's comfortable or not, you know, they think that we're the danger. And that's just hilarious, because it's just not like that. So thank you guys, all of you, for your support. Hopefully I have good enough internet way out in the jungle. I mean, I know we have Wi-Fi, but I don't know what kind of service it's going to be. Please do hit the like button, share, subscribe, and support us via any of the options in the chat. I posted it in the description. It's there. Patreon, you can join our secret streams, which are pretty goddamn interesting, I would have to say. So good night, guys.